Mark Mayville, 42 Main Street, spelled with a C in there, C-M-I-V-I-L-L-E. Just a couple of things I've been listening to tonight, and I thought I'd address them before, and I'm trying not to be personal. I always try not to be personal anyway, doesn't mean I take that, and I can't help that. But we're all being either elected here, or we pay their salaries. And so I can hear I'll try, if anything, to be rhetorical. There's nothing in the public inputs regulations about being rhetorical. I would ask the chairman first. There was a lot of votes here tonight that I didn't know what the final vote was, and short of the roll calls, I would ask the chairman to follow Robert's rules by just calling the vote 3 to 2 approve, or 2 to 3 not approve, or disapprove, or whatever the vote is. I think we're sitting out here and we see nods or mumbles, and so that's just not a criticism, it's an observation. I would also agree at this point with Dr. Littlefield at this point too, that I think some of these negotiations with Pinkerton would also be confidential, and I don't personally see a problem with the forum as an issue. Speaking of Reagan's rules, though, as we were talking about behavior tonight, I'm wondering if this board follows Reagan's rules. It's a parliamentary procedure of behavior. And I think you guys should look that up and perhaps adopt at least some of those, list of rules, between the rules. Pick the ones you think are appropriate, but I think this board will be better served and less of a disservice to the public should you adopt some of those rules. I'm dismayed often as to finding reasons why things can't get done on this board. And I think Dr. Littlefield just kind of alluded to that, where he sits here and he sees some boards decisions not being made, postponed, kicking the can down the road, and whistling past the radio and all those rhetorical comments. It seems to me if somebody has a complaint about the public and they have a problem with what they're saying, if they're acting accordingly, it's not personal. It's actions being done, being commented on the actual board members or the administration. Again, it's not personal. It's the actions being taken that are being critical of. The public has the opportunity long term, if they're not happy with these school board members, they have an opportunity to vote them out as school board members. That is our final say in the matter. I often see, when it comes to public input as well, or statements being made, it's often, in my view anyway, in my opinion, engaged in semantics. I'm used to hearing semantics in town. I'm well aware of them. Accountability, transparency, these are all words that you've tried to use in the past. Legitimacy, and collaboration. You got to vote in January of the school board to try to be more collaborative with the public and other boards. And tonight, you just disputed that night. I'm wondering, there are certain board members here, I'm not naming names, but what we see here in the public is that it seems like no matter what person comes up as a vote, there's always criticism of those agenda items, and there's a resistance to do so, whether it's a good idea or not. So I'm wondering myself, what are the other members of the school board initiating before this board? Don't see a lot of that from the other members. They just criticize those who do. I did have another question about, there was a radio show earlier this week. Gerard's, I forget his first name, Jerry Gerard's radio show with Dr. Brennan. And Dr. Brennan had mentioned that the BYOD on his radio show, the BYOD in the Hooksett School District was to start in September. That's prior to this vote tonight. I'm wondering how that happened. I'm wondering how he got the impression that BYOD is already being initiated at the beginning of next school year. That happened in this radio station at the beginning of this week. How would Mr. Brennan know that? That disturbs me greatly. I've been reading his book lately. Just almost finished. Now this school board, this school district promotes Apple computers in the Apple computer format and thinks highly of Steve Jobs. I'm reading this fascinating book. It's called What Would Steve Jobs Do? Think different. I urge the school board to think different. There are quotes here in this book. Good leaders realize what they don't do well and develop strong right-hand man relationships with others to get things done. I think Steve Jobs said in 2006, I think if you do something and it turns out to be pretty good, then you should do something else wonderful. Don't dwell on it for too long. Just figure it out what's next and move on. He's also well known for his 6 steps of leadership. I urge you to read this book with the 6 steps of leadership are and adopt them. Time.